Why is the internet so obsessed with Mormon wives? I'm going to explain to you why today, and I'm going to walk you through all of the MomTok drama so that you don't have to watch the Hulu series Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I actually think the original MomTok drama that was coming out in 2022 is infinitely more interesting and juicy than what we've seen on the reality show, which followed all of the drama from 2022. So I'm not even really on TikTok, but I won't lie. I followed the entire MomTok drama with all the soft swinging and the divorces and the breaking up of friendships that happened in 2022. So I'm going to tell you all of that, what happened, because they don't actually go through all of that in the Hulu series. They kind of just follow the lives of some of the MomTok girls. The original MomTok girls are not even in this series. We'll get into that soon. So I'm going to tell you the original drama, and I'm also going to explain to you my theory of why so many Americans are obsessed with Mormon wives lately. So, okay, let's get into this soft swinging drama. Taylor Frankie Paul, she was and is the head of MomTok, which is how do I explain MomTok? It's a group of hot mommy TikTokers who originally started doing a lot of dance and lip sync content on TikTok back in 2020, and they just blew up. They gained a lot of popularity. Everyone really liked them. The moms were gorgeous. Their husbands were cute. Kids were adorable, and they just had that very attractive beige Utah Mormon life. There were actually a few women in the core MomTok group that are no longer in the MomTok group today, and they're not involved in today's show at all. For example, Miranda McWhorter, she was another Mormon mom who showed up in Taylor's friend group. She's married to Chase McWhorter, and she was one of the original MomTokers. She's obviously tall, beautiful blonde, like many of the MomTokers are. But if you go through her profile, like it's all family stuff. It's all motherhood. It's all the trend stuff. She was married to Chase whenever she was one of the original MomTokers. But anyway, this is one of the original girls that is no longer in the group. Then there's Camille. Camille was also an original MomToker, a beautiful blonde, very similar to some of the other MomTokers, but she is not at all involved anymore in the MomTok group. She's also a mom. Oh my gosh, look at the cute kitties. Yeah, she's got a very, very popular page. She's got hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views, but not in the MomTok group anymore. So Whitney Levitt came a little bit later, and everyone knows who she is now. If you watch the Hulu series, you know who Whitney is. She is like the villain of the show now. And a lot of people think she was in the original MomTok group. She actually wasn't. She came a little bit later. She is one of the TikTok dancers, of course. I personally think she's the best dancer in the group of the MomTokers. She has, I think, 2 kids and pregnant with her, but she's pregnant now for sure. And like I said earlier, she is like the villain of MomTok currently. And that's what a lot of the drama is centered around, but she was not in the original MomTok group. So here's a video, one of the original videos they did. And so this is when they started showing the husbands, and there's Camille, Miranda, and Taylor. And that was back when Taylor was married to Tate, which we're going to talk about soon. They're all hot. And then with some of the older MomTok videos, you can see some of the newer girls coming in, right? There's Layla, and then there's Whitney in the back there. But not all of these girls were in the very original group. They just started trickling in as the days and months went on. So they really started by posting dancing videos and lip syncs, but then Taylor started to raise a lot of eyebrows with her content. She was joking about Mormon husbands swapping their wives. And she was even joking about things like her husband being her brother. And she was joking about being the mom of Camille and Miranda. She would like joke about her age, be like, I'm 50 years old. And most people, I mean, obviously people knew that she was joking, but then it started to get a little bit more serious. People were like, are you and Tate actually in an open relationship? She posted some TikToks in the past that they were sleeping in separate bedrooms. And that's when the rumors really started about them swinging. And as the rumors were circulating, people were talking about how, hey, all of these Mormon wives are acting a little bit inappropriate. Maybe they're often scantily clad, they're dancing kind of dirty. But Taylor would often brush off these comments, and all the other girls would too. And they just became super popular and known for being kind of wild. But then it turned into a train wreck that you just could not look away from. So Taylor came out with an unfortunate announcement on TikTok. And she said, I'm in my 20s. I'm getting divorced. I started therapy. I'm living on my own for the first time. And then she started like showing her keys, like I'm out of here. And then she just like transitioned to like this new life. And a lot of people in the comment section thought it was a joke at first because Mormons are known for marrying and essentially like never divorcing. They get married young. We're going to talk a little bit more about that soon. And some people speculated that maybe she and her family were just moving to a new house and she was just doing something dramatic. But then she posted another TikTok of herself lying in the ground saying, my entire life is falling apart. And that's when she started talking about co-parenting with her best friend, her now ex-husband, Tate. And this is when Taylor Frankie Paul opened Pandora's box and started talking about soft swinging with MomTok. So she went live on TikTok and she kind of spilled the beans. And she said people had already speculated that something was going on with her relationship with Tate. And she said, even though it started out as jokes, we're now in a place where we're getting divorced. And then she admitted that she and the other women in MomTok were soft swingers and they were hooking up regularly. So this is how she defines soft swinging. Swinging, as we know the definition of, is when couples will go and like essentially trade partners and have intercourse with each other. But apparently the rules of soft swinging is that you would not go off with somebody else's husband or wife, and you would keep it all in the same room, and your spouse would be present for everything, and you couldn't go all the way. You couldn't go all the way. That's like the way that they describe soft swinging. And I'll actually show you an interview that she did very recently. And this was to promote her new Hulu reality TV show. But she's describing what the soft swinging controversy was from 2022.
In 2022, you created quite the scandal, Miss Taylor, and you revealed that you and your husband were getting a divorce because you both had engaged in soft swinging with other couples.
Yes.
Yeah, well, usually that's what it means. It's the soft part that's throwing me. And then, of course, if you're engaged with other couples, you might fall in love with one of the guys or one of the women if you're of that persuasion, you know? So what happened there?
Yeah, we like opened up our relationship.
And what is soft swinging? Explain that.
So
hard swinging, it's soft.
That may be the problem.
More gentle, you know.
gentle, yes. I feel like it was. So swinging is where you full on switch partners, like swingers, right?
Yes.
And so for us, we like opened up our relationship of like playing games and being intimate all in front of each other. Yeah. So we weren't like full on switching per se, you know. So that's why they called it soft swinging, which I didn't come up with that term, by the way. I was told that, so I just.
That was assigned to her.
Yeah, I would have called it just like inexperienced people opening
Mormon
up their
swinging would have been good.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
you got married very young. You were married very young.
So then
we all were.
So you fell in love with one of the guys that you started to interact with,
or
right?
is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it fall in love. Maybe in that moment I thought those feelings, but I can't speak for like being in an affair. I feel like those feelings are like heightened. And when you get out of it, you're like, none of that was actually real love. You know? So I feel like I wouldn't say that now, but back at the time I might have felt those feelings.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to explain soft swinging to boomers on The View. But that's what happened. Taylor admitted that the reason they got divorced, or at least it was the start of their divorce, that she snuck off with another husband. And they had their own little thing away from the other couples. And that is what broke the rule, because you're not allowed to go off with other couples. You're not allowed to go all the way. And she apologized in her live TikTok, and she said that she lost everything. She didn't say who the guy was. She didn't say who the guy was that she snuck off with. There were a lot of people that believed it was Braden Rowley, who was the husband of Kenna Rowley. That has yet to be confirmed, but that's what everyone is suspecting. And so this is when Taylor admitted that her whole life was upturned and it was a big disaster. And she said that the whole MomTok group was intimate with each other. And so this was when everything blew up, right? Everyone is saying, oh my gosh, all these Mormon wives are like sleeping with each other's husbands. What's going on here? And then the rest of MomTok immediately denied Taylor's story. And this is when it started to get even juicier. Miranda and her husband Chase at the time did their own TikTok live as a response. And they claimed that they've never been involved in soft swinging and they don't know what Taylor's talking about. The whole thing was completely blown out of proportion. And then Whitney Levitt posted a TikTok a couple days after that, making light of the fact that she thinks everyone thinks that she's a swinger. And then she's admitted, she declared, I have never been a swinger. I've never done that before. But nobody was really buying it. All the followers and fans were like, okay, somebody's lying here. Something has to be off. Like, do you think Taylor would just like make this up out of nowhere? There had to have been something going on. So this is the MomTok drama of 2022 that had all eyes on Taylor, Frankie, Paul, and MomTok. And it kept growing and growing, and people kept following these influencers long after that. And that's how we end up today with a Hulu reality series called The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And the show was meant to follow the lives of these mom talkers to see what they're up to and see the aftermath of their life after all of these accusations and everything came out. But I have to say, I watched the whole thing and I was a little bit disappointed with how they didn't ever really talk about this drama in 2022. They kind of like brushed over it, and Taylor would talk about how it did significantly affect her life. And then it got even more dramatic because last year, Taylor Frankie Paul was arrested for domestic disturbance, and she got in a massive fight. She got drunk and got in a massive fight with her boyfriend, Dakota, who she just had a baby with. And that was all over the news. That was a big part of drama. And that was something that Taylor talked about a lot in this series because they have a lot of the footage from it, like the body cam footage and stuff. And she said that it's something that she's trying to gain forgiveness over because it stained the name for mom talkers, and it's not something that the mom talkers want to be associated with. But why are people so taken by this story? Why is everybody so into the Mormon wives? And there's a lot here to unpack. I like to see things from a religious perspective, especially because at the heart of this is the Mormon faith. And you have to understand that the Mormon faith, the Mormons believe that it is your duty, it's your obligation, it's your requirement to get married and have children. That is a requirement for your salvation. Unless you are physically unable to have kids, unless there's some sort of disability, it is a requirement as part of your salvation to get married and have kids. That's as an Orthodox Christian, that is not our doctrine. That's not what we believe. And there's a lot, we could go down a whole rabbit hole about how many Christians believe that Mormonism is not actually Christianity. It's actually a cult. There is a lot of theological differences between Mormonism and Christianity. For example, they don't believe in the Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, but we're not going to get into all that. But the big point here is that the way that Mormons approach marriage and family and motherhood is different than almost every other Christian denomination. And that's why people are so glued to Mormon wives, because there is something there. There is something that you can't look away from, because these women get married really young. For example, there are some of these mom talkers, you can see it in the show, they're like 23 years old with like 4 kids. I mean, look at someone like Nara Smith. She's 22 now, I believe, and she's just had her 3rd child. And for modern Americans, that's very different. For the modern world, most of the world, I mean, not everywhere, but for the Western world, that is very different than the way that most women live their lives. It's unheard of for like a woman to get married at 18 or 19 and have a ton of kids. Not to say that it's inherently wrong. It's just different than what our culture is used to today. So when you see these kinds of communities and religious communities that really push these ideas onto their young teenage girls, it gets a lot of eyes, it gets a lot of traction. And then it's so funny because in the show, you see all of these things that the girls are doing and the husbands are doing, and it's so obviously outside of the Mormon faith. And that's what a lot of people are attracted to as well. People love to see extremely religious groups do things that are completely outside of what their religion is supposed to do. Like Whitney's husband, there was this big drama. He was caught on Tinder. He ended up having a massive corn addiction. You know what I'm saying? He was like talking to all these girls online, sending them naked pictures, getting naked pictures while he was a married father, married to Whitney and a father to her children. And then there's, the LAYLA divorce party. Like LAYLA got divorced in the show, and divorce is very, very frowned upon in the Mormon church, but she got divorced and had an entire party to celebrate her divorce. Like she said R.I.P. LAYLA, whatever her married last name was, and they had like a massive celebration for her divorce. And then one of the husbands, he's like in medical school, and the wife and her family is like paying for him to go to school, and they went to Vegas together. He like gambled all the money away. Dakota, Taylor Frankie Paul's boyfriend, who she just had a baby with, dated multiple women, was sleeping with Taylor and another woman when they were first together. There's just so much drama. There's like a lot of sexual drama happening in this group of Mormons. And so this is why it's so attractive to people, because you have these young people who are supposed to be devout Mormons and supposed to be married young and sleep with one person and have babies and be a good little Mormon girl. And Americans are obsessed with the good girl gone bad narrative. That's since like the dawn of time, like the good Christian girl who goes wild and swings and gets naked and turns into a bad girl and takes her clothes off online. That's like one of America's most favorite tales. Americans cannot look away from a tale like that. So when you have these Mormon girls who are doing all of these things, it becomes one of the most juicy dramas online. And that's because of American puritanical culture. If you're new to my channel, you probably don't know, I have a Master of Theological Studies. I think this stuff is fascinating. I think these cultural and religious parts of American culture are really, really fascinating. And when you really take a look at American Protestantism, it's inherently tied with Puritanism, this puritanical culture. And because we have this very puritanical culture, we just like glob onto these stories of people who are supposed to be very pure, who are supposed to do all of these legalistic things, and they don't do them and they end up going wild. We love that. Americans absolutely love that. So to me, this is the heart of why so many people are obsessed with MomTok, because it is the ultimate story of good Christian girl gone bad. And now we have the Hulu show, which apparently got massive viewership. Millions and millions of people tuned in to see this reality show. I think it was a little bit of a letdown as someone who followed the 2022 MomTok drama. Like I said earlier, I think the MomTok drama itself of 2022 was much more exciting, but it's still something that I'm going to be watching, because now Taylor Frankie Paul just had her third child with Dakota. So she has her first couple of kids with her ex-husband. And then she just had a baby with Dakota. So that's something to look out for. And in the show, there was a big storyline about how Taylor just is not ready to get married to Dakota. And of course, having a child out of wedlock is like a massive thing in the Mormon church, but Taylor's just not ready to get married. There are a lot of trust issues with Dakota. She doesn't really trust him with other women because there's rumors of him like, sleeping around in the early parts of their relationship, rumors of him still talking to other girls, and she's just not ready to get married to him right now. So that's definitely something people are going to watch out for. And of course, the drama with Whitney. I'm not even going to get into that. We could do an entire video of the drama between Whitney and all of the MomTokers. She like left the MomTok chat group. The Fruit Loop thing, the Fruity Loops thing. If you guys want me to do a video on the Whitney drama with MomTok, let me know. I'll do a whole video on that. But I just think this is an interesting reflection on American puritanical culture and how Americans will do anything to watch the good girl gone bad. It's just another installation of that. And it's funny, right? Because you have this pocket of the Mormon influencers, and then the other side is like the idyllic, almost perfect Nara Smith and Ballerina Farm, who are, I think they're practicing Mormons. They got married young and they have so many children and they're beautiful. And Mormonism is something that is really compelling for Americans to watch because it is a very, very works-based salvation. So the way that you approach marriage and how many kids you have and how good your life looks from the outside, that is inherently part of whether you're going to get to heaven. And I'm not going to get into much more of the theology, but we could go if we wanted to. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do you find MomTok interesting? I can't help but find it dramatic and juicy. If you guys want me to do a video on the Whitney drama or anything else related to MomTok, let me know. And we'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and see you next time. Bye.